Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, February 17th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyan. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea sees a huge hike in the number of new COVID-19 cases as cluster infections continue to emerge, with one centered around a boiler plant in Asan, Chungcheongnam-do province. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's wife, Lee Seol-ju, has made a public appearance for the first time in over a year. The unprecedented sighting is deemed as a show of confidence that the regime has the virus under control. And a U.S. airbase located in Iraq was hit by a rocket attack late Monday, killing 1 and injuring 9 people, including an American serviceman. We begin with the COVID-19 situation in South Korea. The country reported a whopping 621 new cases on Wednesday, jumping into the 600s for the first time in more than a month. Of the new cases, 590 were locally transmitted and 31 were from overseas. There were 4 more deaths, raising the death toll to 1,538. South Korea's total number of cases now nears the 85,000 mark. Many of the cases reported on Wednesday came from a cluster infection at a boiler factory in Asan, Chungcheongnam-do province, which reported cases among 80 employees and 20 family members. Final approval is underway in the EU for the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Johnson & Johnson. Meanwhile, Japan, which is grappling with a third wave of infections, will begin its own COVID-19 vaccine rollout, with the first to get them being medical practitioners. Kim Hyo-san has more details.
The EU's regulatory body has received an application from Johnson & Johnson for marketing authorization of its COVID-19 vaccine candidate. If approved by the European Medicines Agency as well as the European Commission, it would be the 4th vaccine in the bloc's arsenal. The EMA said it will speed up the process, adding the decision would be announced by mid-March. The EU has secured up to 400 million doses of Johnson & Johnson's single-shot vaccine. Meanwhile, Hungary has become the first country among the EU's 27 member states to receive COVID-19 vaccines produced in China.
The first shipment of Chinese vaccines has also arrived. The shipment containing 550,000 doses, which will be enough to vaccinate 275,000 people. The usage of this vaccine can start after the National Public Health Center has carried out the necessary tests and has given its approval.
Over the next 4 months, Hungary expects to receive 5 million doses of the Sinopharm vaccine. In Northeast Asia, Japan is slated to begin its COVID-19 vaccine rollout on Wednesday.
We have asked 40,000 doctors, nurses to be vaccinated at 100 hospitals all over Japan. And out of those 40,000, we have asked 20,000 doctors and nurses to keep the diary of their health condition.
This comes as the country officially approved Pfizer's vaccine over the weekend, marking the first such approval in Japan, which is grappling with a third wave of infections. Japanese health authorities added the vaccinations for senior citizens will start in April. Kim Hyo-san, Arirang News.
Scientists have discovered another variant of COVID-19 in the UK, and it could be one that affects the current vaccines being rolled out. According to researchers at Edinburgh University, 38 cases have been discovered, with 2 in Wales and 36 in England. They say the samples date back to December last year. Scientists believe current vaccines should still work against the new variant, but might not be as effective. Experts say it's too soon to say if it should be added to the UK's list of variants of concern. South Korea's top diplomat held a phone meeting with his Chinese counterpart for the first time since taking office. Wang Yi reaffirmed Chinese President Xi Jinping's will to visit South Korea as soon as the COVID-19 situation gets under control. The minister congratulated Chung Eui-yong on his new assignment and invited him to visit China. The two also touched on ways to strengthen bilateral ties, with the two countries set to mark 3 decades of diplomatic relations next year. Other topics discussed include a regional cooperative initiative to fight pandemics and denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's wife, Lee Seol-ju, has been seen in public for the first time in over a year, appearing at an event in Pyongyang alongside her husband. Watchers note it's the regime's way of expressing confidence that they have COVID-19 under control. Our Unification Ministry correspondent Kim Dami with more.
After maintaining a low profile for over a year, Lee Seol-ju, the wife of North Korea's leader, is now back in the public eye. The regime's state-run newspaper 노동신문 reported Wednesday that she joined her husband for performances to mark Kim's grandfather Kim Il-sung's birthday. Lee had been out of public sight ever since last year's New Year performances around the time COVID-19 first emerged. In fact, rumors had abounded that she may be pregnant, as she also skipped major events for the regime, like the 75th anniversary of the ruling Workers' Party last October. Seoul's National Intelligence Service noted on Tuesday that no abnormal movement by Lee had been detected, adding that she probably kept quiet due to virus prevention measures. Analysts point out that Kim and Ri's rare public appearance on Tuesday is the regime's way of showing confidence that it has the pandemic under control. In fact, social distancing or wearing of masks was now practiced during the performances. Unlike previous first wives of the regime, Lee had been particularly active, accompanying Kim to numerous events and sites, including when he climbed Mount Baekdu riding a white horse in 2019. Kim Dami, Arirang News.
Staying with North Korea, the regime has reportedly shortened its mandatory military service period in an attempt to revive its sluggish economy by deploying more young workers. Seoul's National Intelligence Service said Tuesday that the term for men has been reduced to around 8 years from 10 years and 5 years from 8 years for women. It explained that Pyongyang is putting more youth into the workforce in a bid to make its new 5-year economic development plan a success. South Korea's defense ministry estimates there are around 1.3 million North Korean troops, but that number is expected to drop as a result of the shortened military term. In other news, one of the surviving Korean victims of Japan's system of wartime sexual slavery asked President Moon Jae-in to bring the so-called comfort women issue to the International Court of Justice. On behalf of the victims, 92-year-old Lee Yong-soo held a press conference on Tuesday and asked the government to step in and reveal the crimes Japan committed. She said the two countries need to completely resolve the issue according to the law and mend ties. He emphasized what the victims want is not financial compensation, but an apology. Seoul's Foreign Ministry will carefully review the suggestions. A U.S. airbase located in Iraq was hit by a rocket attack late Monday, killing 1 and injuring 9 people, including an American serviceman. The U.S., outraged by the incident, is working to find those behind the attack, while Iran denies responsibility, having been accused by Iraqi officials. Our Choi Min-jung reports.
U.S. forces based in Iraq have been hit by a rocket attack, killing a civilian and injuring several others, including a U.S. service member. According to the U.S. coalition in Iraq, the rocket landed late Monday at a military airbase located at Erbil International Airport. The deadly attack claimed the life of a non-American civilian contractor and injured 8 other contractors and 1 U.S. serviceman. Following the incident, the White House said the U.S. is still working to find out who's behind the attack.
We're still working through attribution with our Iraqi partners to determine precise attribution for this attack. Obviously, that's a priority. I will convey that we are outraged by last night's rocket attack in the Iraqi Kurdistan region.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also expressed his outrage in a statement. On Tuesday, Blinken contacted the Prime Minister of the Kurdistan Regional Government, seeking a pledge of support for the investigation. Iraqi officials have suggested a group linked with Iran is responsible for the attack. However, the Iranian government denied the allegations and said it rejects any action that damages Iraq's security. Tension between the U.S. and Iran have often been displayed through acts of violence in Iraq, like the U.S. drone strike in January 2020 and a rocket attack which killed 3 soldiers in March last year. The relationship between the two countries is also deteriorating over Iran's nuclear program and U.S. sanctions. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
And now to the situation in Myanmar. The military that took over the country have denied it was a coup and have pledged to hold an election to hand over power. They have also hit the government's de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi with a second charge. Our Choi Jung-yun reports.
More than 2 weeks after the Myanmar military took over the country, the junta spoke to the press for the first time on Tuesday. They denied that the seizure of power was a coup.
NLD had a chance to solve problems with the election fraud peacefully following the constitutional law, but they didn't take action. That's why we have no choice but to take power, and this is not a coup.
They also guaranteed that they would hold an election and hand over power to the winning party. The military have not given a date for a new election, but they have imposed a state of emergency for 1 year. Accusing protesters of inciting violence, they also claimed that a police official had been killed by the unlawful actions of demonstrators. Meanwhile, the country's de facto civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi received a second charge for violating COVID-19 restrictions.
Aung San Suu Kyi was charged not only with one case, as we have already known, 2 cases. And the second one is Disaster Management Act, 2 cases against her.
This could carry a sentence of up to 3 years, but under the military rules, she could be detained indefinitely. Aung San Suu Kyi's additional criminal charges have prompted the United States to condemn the action.
I think it's fair to say that we are disturbed by reports that the military has charged State Counsel Aung San Suu Kyi with additional criminal acts.
Washington called on the Burmese military to immediately release all unjustly detained civilians and political leaders, as well as activists and journalists, while demanding the military restore the democratically elected government. Choi Jung-yun, Arirang News.
The price of one Bitcoin surpassed $50,000 for the first time ever on Tuesday as it continues its blistering rally. The surge comes as major companies pile into the world's largest cryptocurrency. Lee Seung-jae with more.
Bitcoin's stunning rally continues, breaking $50,000 for the first time ever on Tuesday. The world's largest digital currency by market capitalization rose more than 3% to an all-time high of $50,602 at one point, before regressing to just over $48,000. Bitcoin has risen 72% so far in 2021, with most of the massive gains coming after Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of the digital currency. However, it's not just the American electric vehicle giant that's been warming to the cryptocurrency. Major U.S. institutions have also been putting their money where their mouth is. Many experts say this rally is different from the 2017 bubble, with J.P. Morgan this year saying Bitcoin could hit $146,000 if it becomes an established safe haven. Others, however, are more cautious, believing it could be an even bigger bubble than the last.
Bitcoin would quite qualify as a high-risk investment. If you buy Bitcoin, you should buy with keeping in mind that the value could be zero the day after. For now, even if it shouldn't happen, there's still a chance it could happen. There's no guarantee, there's nothing behind Bitcoin trying to keep the market value high. And while there are more and more people buying Bitcoins, for now it's still a high-risk investment.
Some economists, including L'Oreal Rubini, have even said Bitcoin and other digital currencies have no intrinsic value. A recent Deutsche Bank survey also indicated that investors view Bitcoin as the most extreme bubble in the financial markets. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Good morning. The season's last cold snap has become even more severe. Upper regions had lows below -10 degrees Celsius this morning earlier, and freezed winds are making it feel a lot colder with strong wind advisories in place along the coast regions. Meanwhile, it's been snowing heavily in southwestern regions as well as mountainous regions on Jeju, Ulleungdo, and Dokdo, with heavy snow alerts still remaining in place. In fact, mountainous regions of Jeju, Ulleungdo, and Dokdo could see up to 20 centimeters of heavy snowfall, while Jeollado provinces will receive up to 15 centimeters into tomorrow. But sunny skies are expected for the rest of the country. But highs will remain in the negative territory across the country. Chuncheon and Daejeon will be only getting up to -3 degrees Celsius. But hang in there, spring warmth will return by Friday, and it's going to feel like April again by the weekend. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.